Danny is now the co-host, not the host, because I'm here in India. So I have some good news. Tomorrow is a special day here in Tsopema. We're going to practice with all the yogis and yoginis, nuns and monks up in the caves. I hope that Lamalina will go out from her cave. She's in retreat now, I'm not sure, but if she'll join us in the Gompa. Gompa, it's a place of like a big hall of meditation. So it's the center of the yogis and yoginis up in the cave. So since they're going to have the Chod practice tomorrow, so 7 o'clock India time, which is let me see, it's the difference is 3.5 hours to central, less 3.5 hours earlier to Central East time. So just calculate the time. You have the calculator, Lena put there. So we'll start at 7 or 7:30. So Lela will send you a letter with link to the Zoom, and I will be broadcasting in and out from there, from the Anigompa, so you can just hop in, hop out whenever you want. So you don't need to worry about that if you want to. You don't need to stay the whole day, of course, but if you want, just, capture the, how it goes, how it looks. Maybe I will be able to show you around. It's all about, it's India. So you can never know if you have electricity. You can never know if you have a Wi-Fi. So we were doing a lot of experiments today in order to see that I will be able to connect to the link of the Zoom. So if you want, that's what will happen tomorrow. So it's going to be the Trauma Nagmo Chod. The day after tomorrow, on Thursday, it's the Dakini Day. So again, up there in the mountains, all the yogis and yoginis are going to celebrate all day long. The Dakini Day, and it's going to be the practice of Machik Labrun. So even if you have not received those initiations, either to Trauma Nagmo Chod or to Machik Labrun Sadhana, or initiation for that, Lamala said that everybody can participate in the tzak and in the Chod practice. So again, there will be a different link to the Zoom from what we have now. So from what we will have tomorrow, so you can join whenever you want. I will be in and out according to their, they're going to have some breaks, and I don't know what will happen with the, again, with the Wi-Fi and the electricity and everything. I hope it will work. And I really hope that Lamalina will join us at one moment, or more than one moment, at the practice if she goes out from her retreat in the cave. So she will be able to talk to you. I'll make sure for that, because I will be there with my computer. So I hope that you will be able to contact her. So that's my news for today before we start. So as you know, I'm here in Tsopema. It was a spontaneous hopping on the plane and coming here to be with Lamala and to be with our Sangha members, my friends. Some of you know them from Zoom. Some of you met them during the tours, Lamalina tours. So you will see some of them tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, some will come by the end of the month. So this is, again, an opportunity for you all, guys. If you want to be part of this beautiful Sangha, and we'll discuss that. This is because this is part of the discussion we're going to have today about the psychology of Tantra. So you will be able to understand why that's important. It might be important to me and not important to you, but it's okay. I'll just give you some information about that. So if you have questions before we start, if you have questions with regard to what I just announced, so please raise a hand, and if not, and if you just joined us and you didn't catch what I said, so go to the recording. I guess tomorrow maybe it will be there. And also we will put everything on the Vajra World group. So the WhatsApp group. If you're not there yet, go to Lela's email and just join the group. So because we announce a lot of things there. Okay, it's very easy. It's easier than just, writing mails and sending to everybody. No question. So everything was clear. Good. So again, it will be a mandala offering to my dear Lama and all my Lamas in the lineage that we are connected to. So we do the mudra. If you don't know how to do it, it's very easy. You go with those two little fingers. You go up with the second fingers, and then those two, you just cross them. Okay, and then you have this this is the mudra. It's representation of the mandala of the world according to the Tibetan cosmology. Okay, so we are offering the world to our lamas. And where is the world? It's a projection from our mind. There is no world that is not a projection from our mind. Okay, so that's what we give our lamas. So we are giving them everything, right? Because there is nothing else rather than our world. And I'll do it in Tibetan, although there is a version in English, but I prefer to do it in Tibetan, okay? Sashi puki jukshid metok tram, rira blinkshining de gempadi, sange shingdu mikte uwani, dokum namdak shingwa chupashok. Om Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamneyatayami. So we are now in the teachings of the Psychology of Tantra. We already covered some of the subject that I wanted to cover. And last time we have started to talk about the fact that the Tantra is a transformation that we would like to create or to make it happen in our body, speech, and mind, which will manifest as a change or as a different manifestation in our Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Dharmakaya. Of course, there is a relation between each one of them. And we started to talk about the different kind of obstacle that might happen if we are going through this process, because Tantra aiming towards the transformation. And yes, it's a doing process. It's not a non-doing like Dzogchen. It's a doing process. But most of us cannot stay in the open awareness totally without any doing, like, those Buddhas of that has been manifested through Dzogchen. So that's the reason why Lamala is always referring us back to Tantra, because although it's a doing process, by the end of at the end of the day, if you will be doing that for a while, and a while can be many years, so we will be able to gain realization that will bring us the opportunity to make the transformation on all those three kayas, okay? Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Dharmakaya. And we started to talk about the obstacles and how they are manifested in our life we looked at it from the psychology, from the Western psychology, but also from the tools that Tantra provides us. So you had beautiful questions, so we could address issues that most of us have. And because of your questions that I was thinking about it, we started to talk about being us, being a vessel, some kind of embodiment of something that can be transformed. But I think that I want to address that in more detail, because I think this is the main key, the main point that we should address while we're talking about prepare ourselves to Tantra. Now it's going to be funny because all of us Tantrikas, right? So what do you mean by prepare ourselves to Tantra? We are already Tantrika. We are already practicing Tantra. And a matter of fact, the more we prepare ourselves and the more we lay the foundation, the more the transformation will happen faster. Now, I don't want to rush anybody, and that's part of the obstacles that we are aiming to rush or trying to do, overdoing, because that's create harm rather than benefit. So I wanted to go over those issues again. Okay, so I didn't go actually over the definition of vessel last time, so I want to go over that, because a vessel, it's just, it's just a metaphor, because we use metaphors in Tantra, which represent the practitioner's capacity. So when I say vessel, so this is the practitioner capacity. In the scripture, I'm sure you're already aware of that, there is a deviation about, low-level capacity, medium-level capacity, and high-level capacity. And I don't want to go with this definition, because who is the one who defines that? I mean, should I define myself in a lower or medium or higher capacity? Is it the teacher? Does the teacher does that in comparison with other students? Or I think that the only one who can answer the question about their capacity is yourself. And I want to give you tools for that, okay? Because it's not about a comparison, because you don't know what is the level of other students or one of your friends or your teacher. You can't measure that. It's not about measurement. But I want to give you some tools today in order for you to see where you are. And if you will, I hope that by the end of this class, you will be able to identify where you need to work on those, on which foundations you need to work in order for you to be more, to enhance your capacity, okay? So, as we said before, it's the practitioner capacity. So when we say capacity, what are we talking about? Which capacity are we talking about? It can be the body, it can be the mind, and especially it's the subtle energies that I hope that we will be able to understand more in depth today. What does it mean, the subtle energies? So if we want to sustain the practice, the tantric practice, so without any harm to ourselves, we want to enhance those capacities. Because if we want to become a stable vessel, this is something that means we want to develop the psychological integration and the psychological grounding and actually the resilience, because if we don't have those three psychological qualities, when we will practice Tantra, and we are talking about all the path of Tantra, not only the generation stage, and I'm talking about the highest Yoga Tantra, and not only the highest Yoga Tantra, the generation stage, and then the completion stages practices. Because in order for us to prepare ourselves to the completion stages practices, we have to prepare ourselves in all those capacities, okay? The body, the sensations, and the subtle energies. So what happens, how we measure if we are stable or not stable as a vessel, right? Because we want to see that we are stable. So in a Western psychology, we always look at those people. We are looking at ourselves and, of course, other people as well from the unresolved issues. It's not necessarily something that has to do with neurosis or psychotic events. Even if I have an issue, let's say that, I want to give you an example. Let's say that I was cut down from work. So my boss fired me, okay? So this is an event, right? I'm a normal person. I go to work. I have a family, and I was laid off or fired or whatever. Now, how do I react towards this event? It's very important with regard to my stable capacity or stable vessel, because I can go into depression, for example. I can be very angry and I don't know, I'm gonna lit on fire the workplace. I can be in a situation that I want to kill myself, for example. So it's all about, a change, a major change, but it's not only a major change, but also something that created a wound in myself, what in psychology we call self-esteem. So major changes always affect us. Now, the level of this effectiveness is something we want to pay attention to. Now, you all know, maybe it was somebody, I don't know, maybe your spouse was cheating you, maybe you got divorced, maybe, I don't know, it was a death of a dear parent or a child, or I don't know whom, or laid off from work, or all of a sudden you don't have money, you've been thrown out from your apartment. Those are major changes that happens in our life. So how will you react to that? Only you know. If you look in your past, you will know it maybe to a specific change you reacted in an adaptable way, and maybe another change, major change, created a storm in your life, and you tackled that in a different manner. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because the way that I love to have people in meeting people in life is that, especially in such occasions as here, is that I have an opportunity to talk to them more than just 5 minutes on the Zoom, and I see the result of major changes in their life and how it affects them, and I can see how those results can create obstacles to their path. Okay, so that's why in Psychology of Tantra, we're looking not only from the tantric point of view, like the specific tantric practices, but we also say, okay, it's not a bad thing that you had, I don't know, a crisis in your life. It's not a bad thing. And a matter of fact, this is a manifestation of the karma, but about the karma, we'll talk in a different time. But how do you going to work on that? Because we want you to increase the capacity that you have. We want to work on that. And I think I told you last time that whenever Lama Lena sees somebody who is his reaction to a major change created actually a trauma, and this trauma might create a post-traumatic effect, she always refers them to Western psychology, to EMDR, because she always says, because it's faster. You can work on that Tantra, but it's faster. So you ask yourself, And right, you will ask yourself in the right manner, why would I go to a Western psychologist in order to do the EMDR or any other traumatic healing processes and not working with Tantra? Because Tantra does have tools for that. Let's say purification like Vajrasattva, we all know that, because it takes much longer, it takes much more time. And not only that, you can create harm while doing the tantric practices while not having the right foundation. And we've seen so many cases of that. So I don't want to that you think that I'm advocating anything with regard to Western psychology, because I'm not. But if you have some kind of a trauma embedded in you, it can be embedded in your body or embedded in your emotional body, and it can be embedded more in the karmic wind channels, and you don't even know. And then we will create a situation when it's all will pop up, okay? So if we know that we have unstable episodes in our life, and we have this tendency to react towards this in an unstable mode, it's okay to practice Tantra, but please also tackle that in a different manner. Now, with one of my friends, I had a discussion today, and we were talking about ego. And I want to share with you what I said to her, because I think it's important for all of us. Because sometimes I hear teachers and also practitioners, tantric practitioners, saying that the goal of Tantra or the goal of Buddhism is to eliminate ego. And this is not true. Not only that it's not true, as a matter of fact, when we don't have a strong ego, and I will say in a few minutes, what does it mean, strong ego? We cannot practice, because we will break into 100 pieces, okay? Not from the story of Avalokiteshvara, but from a meltdown point of view. So, for example, when we talk about strong ego, it's not the excessive identification with the ego. Because if I say, let's say, I say, okay, we're going to meet today at this and this time, who is the one who's going to meet me at this and this time? Maybe we'll push the Zoom button, the link, and will pop up on this screen. Who is this person? This is part of us, which is the ego. And a strong and healthy ego is something which is a necessity for a tantric practitioner. And I gave the example this morning, and I'll give you the example I gave it, is that if I'm practicing to become a Buddha, to become the deity, and this is the practice of Tantra, right? We are becoming the deity with all the amazing characteristic of a Buddha, right? So who am I? Who am I gonna be? Will I be, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. Oh, I'm so poor. Oh, I'm a victim. How can you become, if you have those thought about yourself, and you have this this kind of self-esteem or this kind of ego, how you can become a deity? Think about it. The deity, the Buddha, is a manifestation of someone who can be a role model and can give everybody the tools to become enlightened. So they had to be enlightened. Can you become enlightened and being a victim at the same time? What do you think? Or being, I don't know, a little shy that I don't want, to interfere with anybody, or somebody who is going to please everybody because they're afraid of any conflict or something like that. That's not the manifestation of a Buddha. So you do want to enhance your capacity, your mental capacities with regard to those mental psychological issues. So it seems like it's a contradiction because we're going to work on the ego. It seems like a contradiction, but when you understand the final goal, so you understand there is no contradiction here. On the contrary, it's something that we want to look at it. And there is nothing wrong with developing those characters that create somebody might look at you and said, oh, I don't know, he has a very high level of self-esteem. Richard, I'll come to the questions later on, okay, please. So it just looks like a contradiction, but it's not. So if you know yourself and you know that you're thrown off very easily by inner or outer challenges, work on that while you're doing the tantric practice. Find a way to do that, okay? And then I think we discussed that maybe in our first class, maybe the second class, I don't remember, but I'm going now to the second part. So those are the mental issues that we want to create a strong foundations, okay? That's what we want there. The second thing that we want also to enhance, working to create the strong foundation for this vessel, is the embodiment of the body. Now, when I talk about the body, it's not, it's going to the gym is nice, okay? You can go and work. It's not a gym work. It's not a body work. It's working with the body in order to connect with the body. Most of us, as I said before in previous classes, we have some kind of dissociation from our body from different various reasons. You know if you are in touch with your body. You know that. And you know if you have some kind of rejection to your body. It can be either because of weight, either because of appearance, either because of, I don't know, trauma that was embedded there, maybe, I don't know, some kind of a rape or some kind of any other issues. So it's manifest in the body. So we want to practice we want to be able to practice those practices that brings awareness into the body. So it's either can be some kind of a bodily sensations, we have all kind of therapies for that. And also, what today calls mindfulness, okay? This is not what the Buddha calls mindfulness. I hope that you are Lama Linuna students, you already know that. But what today is most of people who are saying that they teach mindfulness, what they do is they give some kind of, at the beginning, it's an awareness on the breath, right? And in and out breath, So this is also connection to the body because the breath happening in the body, right? Maybe you feel it outside because of the air, but it's happening in the body. So it's breath, or for example, the posture, many of us go like that, or we create a lot of hump. So we want to work on the posture because you remember, whenever we are having any kind of meditation, especially the dzogchen, but not only dzogchen, and at the end of the day, we're going to do that also in the completion stages practices. We have to have a very straight back, okay? So this is a posture. But you might want to ask, why do I need that? Why don't I can lie down? Or why can I be a pretzel or something like that? Because the posture affects the inner lung, the inner prana that's are streaming within the channel body. Now, as I said before, we want to have some kind of a connection, some kind of awareness to the subtle energies. Subtle energies are running, those energies are running in our channel body, not in our bones and not in our blood. It's in our channel body. So we want to start to do that. So we do that either by avoiding extremes, body issues, like if you want to jump bungee, go ahead and do that. But you might create yourself in harm with that, because this is a very strong shock to the body and also to the mind. Unfortunately, I have an experience with that. One of my nieces, she jumped bungee in South America somewhere, and she got injured, and it was years of constant operations again and again, and she's still not having the same body that she used to have before. So we want to cultivate the awareness to our body, okay? To learn how to work with what we call energy body. But if I don't have any connection with my body, how would I develop a connection with my energy body? I mean, if this is my body and I'm just slapping my hand, so this is obvious, right? Now, what do you think when I did this mudra that I showed you before? It's not just a mudra, it has an effect on the channel body, on the energy body. That's why they do that, not because it's just some kind of a nice way gesture to give the world. There is a reason for that. So in order to feel the effect of this mudra, this gesture, you have to have a connection to your energy body. And again, who's going to measure if you do have a connection with your energy body? Who is going to do that? You're the only one who knows that. You're the only one who knows if the capacity of your energy body is low, medium, or high. Nobody else can measure that. And also, it can fluctuate during your life. Sometimes you have a very strong feeling of energy body in your youth, and then maybe after having babies or injuries or working very hard or gaining a lot of weight, you lose this connection to the energy body. And then you can recover that, because if you already had this memory, you can recover that. Okay? So let me see. I just wrote some notes here that I will not forget all the thing that I wanted to go. Okay, so the third point that I want to emphasize, so we discussed the mental issues. Okay, you know how to measure where you are, how do you react to inner or external changes in your life. And the second one was, you know how to measure your embodiment into your physical body and then to the energy body. And the third point is that we want to be able to ground our practices. What does it mean to ground on an embodiment our practices? When we talk about Dzogchen or Mahamudra, we talk a lot, we bring a lot of the word awareness to the table, right? Awareness, awareness, awareness. So what does it mean? this awareness. I'm not talking what practices we are doing in order to develop the awareness. I'm saying, what does it mean to have an awareness? Where we are going to bring the awareness. Awareness sometimes can also be defined as attention, right? It's not, but let's just use it for the sake of the example, okay? So if I want to bring my attention, for example, if I have a breakdown, mental breakdown, or I have a very bad day emotionally, so am I aware to that? Do I have an awareness to that? Also for the body. In order to measure the capacity, we want to have an awareness to what's going on through our body or what's going on through our mental capacity. And here I have good news. I just had a few days ago, I had a discussion with Lamalina, and she asked me to do the working with emotion. But I'm gonna do it from a different angle. And she asked me to do it very deep, to go very deeply into the mandala and all the Buddhas and the Dhyani Buddhas and all the disturbance and emotions and everything. So it's correlates to what I'm doing here, but it will be very specific. If you did the working with emotion retreat, so just take that and said, okay, it's going to be a very long one, but we will work on your issues, not, somebody else, issues. So I'm going to build this course. This is what Lamalina asked me, so I'm going to do that. And I hope that you're going to benefit from that. So I'm going back to the awareness. So how do I develop an awareness? Did you ask yourself this question at all? How do I develop my awareness to something? Usually it's when we talk about, for example, the Mahamudra or not the first stages of Mahamudra. I'm not talking about Shine. I'm talking from Shine without an object, okay, from this point. When we're talking about Dzogchen or Shine without an object, when we talk about awareness, we always talk about open awareness, right? But if I'm talking about the fact that we want to develop an awareness to the sensations of the energy body, is it outside somewhere? So we learn to pinpoint the awareness internally. When we learn how to do that and we develop some kind of an awareness, then we're able to open it up. Before we are able to have an awareness to something, we will not be able to develop the open awareness that we are all striving for. We all want to go there, to this open, amazing awareness. So, for example, if I got, I don't know, if I broke a nail, okay, and it hurts, okay, I'm talking about the pain here. So do I have an awareness of the pain? Yes, I do, because the pain creates signals that my mind is translating as the labeling of pain, right? So this is obvious. But the awareness comes from where? From the nerves, for example, or the mind translate that as a pain. What happens if my awareness goes out to all the hustle bustle in my world, and I need to point my awareness to the very subtle energies that goes in my channel body. But now a bird comes up and there's a horn, and then the monkey comes into my balcony and tried to steal my glass of tea. That happened this morning. It was nice to see that. So where is my awareness to the subtle body right now? if I don't know how to practice that, and if I do not develop the level of awareness that is needed in order for me to be aware of the subtle body movement, nothing will happen. So this is the third point that I wanted to make, like the awareness that we want to develop, the capacity of awareness. You know that. I will just give you an example from my clinic, okay? When I start to work with people about awareness, I have this metaphor that I came up with because, most of the people were young when they came to my clinic, but not all of them know what is this black vinyl record. Do you know what is the black vinyl record? Now it's came back to fashion, but there was a long time that nobody knew what is this black record. So what happens with this black record that we had? So in order for that to have the music, two things need to happen. The first one was that somebody needs to print this song, right? To have those curves there in this vinyl record. And then we had to have the needle go up and stay there and start singing the song, I mean, not singing, putting out loud the song, right? So there is a song, which is usually our internal talk, okay? And there, this needle is the patterns of my mind go to this song, this internal song. Oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I will fail. Or I don't know what's going to happen. Or why they did it to me again and again and again. I'm a victim. So this is those songs that we have again and again. And the needle that goes to this song is the pattern of being non-aware. So if I have tools in order to help you to lift up the needle from this song, the only way I can do that is by developing the awareness. Because bringing up the needle from the song, this happens to you only while you're aware. Aware to what? The songs. We learn what are your songs. Each one has a different songs, okay? But in my clinic, everybody is with me only once a week, 1 hour. What happens 24/7? You have to develop the awareness to hear those songs while they're playing, and then to take off the needle of the song. Do you understand that? You have to develop the awareness. If you don't have the awareness, which means take up the needle, nothing will happen. And that's exactly what happens in Tantra. The awareness is not the open awareness. It's the transformation that we do with our emotional disturbance emotions, the jealousy and the hatred and the depression and all those emotions that we have constantly. We want to transform them into wisdom, the five wisdom of the five Dhyani Buddhas. We want to have that. So we have to develop this awareness, okay? So the awareness to the songs in the mind, okay, now you know the metaphor I'm using in my clinic, the songs in your mind, but also an awareness to your body, what is happening in your body. Like, for example, if you're being offended by somebody, where do you feel that? In your gut, in your stomach, in your throat, in your head? Where do you feel that? That's an awareness to what is happening in your body, because everybody has a sensation when they have some kind of mental disturbing emotions. So we want to ground those embodiment and those practices, okay? And to cultivate this awareness of this subtle energy, because we want to develop our tool. Awareness is a tool to how we work eventually with the subtle energies. So we do have Mahamudra and we do have Dzogchen, and they have a role in our path, okay? Now I want just to open a little open to that because we're not in a class of Mahamudra and Dzogchen, but just to give you the understanding how it goes, okay? So, for example, the practice of Mahamudra or Dzogchen, at some point, they become the same practice. What we practice there, we are practicing the non-dual. We try to practice the non-dual. I mean, me and you are there is no duality between us. So who is talking now? To whom am I talking now? Of course, those questions rise up whenever we say the words non-dual, okay? So the non-duality awareness is a higher capacity that we want to be able to cultivate, which is a different capacity than cultivating the awareness of what is happening in our mind. Okay, am I angry now, or am I depressed now, or whatever, or what is happening in my body if I have this, ache in my body, pain in my body, or do I have some kind of I can understand the very subtle movement. At the beginning, we want to develop the awareness to the gross movement of the prana in our channel body. But at the end of the day, we want to do it for the very, very subtle energies. So again, it's a capacity. Remember, we want to develop the capacity. So if we develop the capacity and now we are going into the non-dual awareness, so this is, if we are able to develop that, it introduces us to support and maintain stability. Because whenever we are in the non-dual awareness, what is shaking us? You remember the phrase, samsara and nirvana are the same, right? So suffering is no longer exists in this non-dual awareness, okay? I'm not going to go into it now because really this is a very high level capacity of awareness. But I just want to give you the gradual understanding. What does it mean, awareness? Okay, because we use this word, I'm in an open awareness. Oh, I want to develop my awareness. Oh, what does it mean? So to summarize the non-dual awareness, it's just a field that can contain all those phenomena, either mind phenomena, either body phenomena, and either other external phenomena in the field of the awareness, okay? And then when we are developing those capacity, all of a sudden we have the capacity to take the practice of Tantra, whatever practice you do, and to start working on what we call in Tantra integration. Integration rather than avoiding. And what does it mean, integration within Tantra? The idea in Tantra is not to avoid difficult situation. The idea in Tantra is not to try to suppress difficult or strong emotions. That's not what we're trying to do. We try to integrate them and skillfully integrate them. So we have different practices for that. We're not going to go into it now. But this vessel that now we're building the capacity, okay, in different levels, we're building the capacity. And you see that you can do that with Tantra, but also with the understanding that there are other ways to develop that. Like for example, go to somatic. If you know that you have a problem with the body awareness, so you can go to somatic practices, working yoga, for example, or Yantra yoga, for example, it's a development of that. Why those amazing lamas, Buddhas, created those practices, like, for example, Yantra yoga or yoga, in order for us as a path through to go to the completion stages practices, because we need to be aware to what is going on in our body. I remember when I was, I studied to be a yoga teacher. So I remember going, I don't remember where was I. I was in one of the countries that I was traveling with, and I went to a yoga class. And this amazing teacher, all she did, the whole class, was, maybe move from one asana to another. But all she did was she kept saying again and again and again that we need to put our attention, she called that attention, I will call that awareness, on the breath, going the breathing in and breathing out while moving in the asana. And so if you're practicing yoga and your yoga teacher is not taking your awareness to the breathing in, breathing out in each one of the asanas, just switch a teacher, okay? Because this is a development of the body awareness, okay? So we don't want to avoid and we don't want to suppress any of the issues that we have discussed. And of course, now we're talking about how we do that. I mean, I'm not talking about the practices. I just gave you an example about the yoga, but this is a practice how to be in touch with the subtle body energy, or start to be in touch with that, develop the awareness to your subtle body. But we also want to look around what are the tools or what are the circumstances that can support us in develop those capacities in order to become a stable and resilient and a strong vessel. If we will not do that, how do you think the transformation will become the Buddha? How would you do that? All of a sudden it will be, oh, I'm a Buddha. No, that's not going to happen, at least not in Tantra. If you have the capacity for that to Dzogchen, go ahead. So we need to understand the importance of the context and the guidance. And we always talk in Buddhism about ethics. That's why we have those vows, okay? We have the vows, either the freedom vows, the 10 first vows, or the Mahayana vows, the Bodhisattva vows, or the Tantric vows. And I go again, if you want to understand those vows, you need to go and learn them, because you have received them. If you're here in this class, you have received all those vows, because you cannot just jump into Tantra before going and receiving, even if you don't know the Bodhisattva vows. Maybe you don't know because you were attending some class and a Lama said something in Tibetan and you have received this. And most of the sadhanas, by the way, you're taking the Bodhisattva vows again and again and again, even if you don't know that that's what you're doing there. Okay? So if you practice a sadhana, you're doing it again and again and again. So, for example, we want to have, when we talk about this vessel is present in, let's say, a container, okay? The world is a container. So we want to have a safe container. You don't want to put yourself as a vessel in a very stormy environment, right? Or a very stormy container. So what creates a safe container? We always look at the teacher that I hope that we we'll jump into this subject in our next class, not next week, because next week I'm going to be in retreat, but the following one. We're talking about community, what we call Sangha. Some Sanghas are very stormy, very stormy. I'm sure you all have an experience with the stormy Sanghas, okay? So you want to pay attention. Is this teacher is a stormy teacher, or does he or she create some kind of a safe environment for you? Is the Sangha, is the community, is a safe community, or is it storming and, and if you have the capacity to work with storms, go ahead, stay there. But you want to know what are the capacities that you're working through. So ethic helps us, because if I am a practitioner and I don't mind to steal, for example, does that create for yourself, I'm not talking about others, a safe container? From karmic point of view, not at all. You're gonna suffer, not because somebody is gonna, I don't know, catch you or put you in jail, just because the karma is always manifesting. You cannot avoid it, hardly. So those are the bricks for safe container, safe environment that you want to look for. So again, who is the one that will be able to tell you that you have a safe container? Either the teacher, either the community, the Sangha, or the ethics, or the practice. You're the only one who can measure what is for you a safe environment, what is for you a safe teacher, what is for you a safe community. I can't do that. And no other person on earth, even if they are Buddhas, they cannot say that, because this is something that is only you who is measuring that. So we're saying that without this safe container that we just spoke about, and without the ethical grounding and the integrity, internal integrity from, let's say, psychological point of view, and, a teacher or a friend or a mentor that can guide you wisely, okay? Then when you work with the tantric methods, what will happen? It's going to create harm. And we saw that, for example, sexual misconduct. That was not a safe container. You know that. Maybe you didn't feel that, but somebody else did. For them, it wasn't a safe container, but it might happen that for you, it was a safe container, okay? So you need to look at yourself, not about what happened to others. For you, is it a safe container for you? Stay there. If you feel that this is not, respectfully move on. And so just to summarize that, so we say that we want an ego strength, not egomaniac, okay? Ego strength. This is a totally different thing, okay? Narcissists have a very strong ego, but we don't want to develop narcissists here. And we want to do the psychological integration, and we want to emphasize the fact that a stable sense of self is necessary, not as a goal, but as a foundation to develop other characteristic that we want to develop in the tantric path. I think I covered most of what I wanted to cover. I just want to ask you another question with regards. So this is a homework for you guys, okay? So listen to what I just said. Have you ever, as a tantric practitioner, did some kind of evaluation of your current state of your vessel with those criteria that I just spoke about? Did you even have the idea that you want to assess your capacities on those criteria? And if you look on yourself like 10 years, before 10 years, and from now, like to your past, do you see some kind of a development on those criteria? The mind, the stability of the mind, how you react to inner and outer changes, to your integration to your body, either to the external body or to the more energetic body, and then to the more subtle energetic body. I mean, those, and then the third one was the awareness. Did you ever measure what is the level of your awareness? Again, it's not me to measure any of those criteria. What is your level? You're the only one who can assess that. It's a self-diagnosis. So if I can give you homework, write down those 3 criteria and try to meditate on that, think about that, and try to see how you are, and don't judge yourself. Please, please, please. Please, judgment is not what I'm trying to develop here. Just some kind of an awareness to where we are, some kind of a place where we are looking in what we have. It's like somebody, like a chef who have an ingredient and he said, oh, I have this pasta and I have this cream and I have this mushrooms. What can I do with that? Oh, I can do pasta with mushroom cream. Okay. But if I don't have a Parmesan, what should I do? Can I do that? Now you can do that. Maybe in the future, you will make sure that you'll have the Parmesan cheese with you. That's the same thing. We're not different than this dish, okay? We have these capacities now. Don't judge yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't say, oh, why I didn't do that when I had this chance. Oh, he or she are better than I. Or I just, I just wasted my life doing that. I should have done that. Don't go there. Just made an assessment, put it on a paper, and to each one of the point, make yourself a decision. What do you want to develop? If you feel that in one area you have a low capacity, you said, okay, I want to develop this capacity. We can discuss later on how I develop that, but I think I gave you enough examples how you can develop all those kind of capacities. And it takes time, by the way, but it's going to change your life. So it's the state of mind of this vessel, the body awareness, and then the emotional, energetic awareness, and then the sensation awareness, and then awareness of the subtle bodies. Maybe many of you are already working with the subtle body, which is great. Maybe you don't even know that you're working with the subtle body. If you're practicing dissolution, you're working with the subtle body. For example, in your sadhana, maybe you're not aware of that. Maybe you don't know, you're not doing that. I would not say the right way, but you're doing it in a specific level, and there is more to grow, but you're already working with the subtle body. Okay, so I think that's the homework. And also look at the support and the ethical grounding guidance that you have. Okay, this is also something that you want to check. So I'll go to question now. I can see that Richard has a very, very strong question. Where did you go, Richard? You just disappeared.
There I am.
Hi,
Hello.
hi,
Yeah,
Richard.
yeah. Hi, Richard. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I get generally I have a question about the ego and about non-self thing. But something really interesting happened to me at the in the beginning of this class, you know. First of all, like I remember when I first saw this concept in Buddhism about the middling way and the, you know, different capacities. It was very upsetting to me because I have, you know, a history of self-loathing and I've spent most of my young years trying to kill myself and everything, you know. I've come a long way though, you know.
Good
So
for you.
I mean thanks to AA, you know. So so when we did the mandala, right, today, it's like so many times I've tried to do that and I think I might have got it once, but I can never get it right and the fingers are all over the place, right? So I just said, I don't care. Here it is. The fingers are all messed up. And there was this feeling of like, Rich, that's the best you can do. And offering it up like that and accepting that is who's going to judge you? Who's going to say, Rich, you're wrong, you're bad? And who cares if everybody else does it right and your fingers are like this? You're totally open and saying, this is what I have, this is the best I can do, and that's it. And what's going to happen to me, right? I'm being the best that I can be, you know? So I don't know what you think about that, you know, and
Let me answer that first, Richard, because I want to say something about that. First of all, I really want to congratulate you going through a very stormy path and going through a very overcoming a lot of many obstacles. But also, I want to say something which is very important. We're not judging ourselves. I don't want anybody, not you and not anybody here on the class, to assess yourself or to diagnose yourself if I'm doing something right. Either the mandala offering gesture, you know, the the mudra, or am I doing it right? This is not what I'm trying to do. If I'll do that, Lama Lina will kill me. you know, the question that she always laugh at is, am I doing it right, Mom? No, that's not what I'm trying you to do. What I'm trying you to do is just to assess not a specific doing, but to think, do I have more mental issues that I want to overcome, like, for example, anger? No. Or I'm falling easily into depression. Okay. This is not something that is this specific thing. Am I doing that right? Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
don't go there. Please don't go there. Not
right.
you and not anybody
Uh,
else.
but I feel I'm definitely well aware of what's going on with me. It's my thing. It's like, you know, why, you know, how can I stop this? Or, you know, I definitely, you know, there's still,
I'm not in how you are doing how you
yeah,
do. I'm not in how you're gonna do that now. I'm just
right,
want you to have the awareness where you are in those different issues that I have just, put on the table now. Not to
right,
try to resolve that, not to try to find a solution, not to try to find something that will do that. That will happen. At the first stage is just having this internal assessment, internal diagnosis. Okay? So go ahead, Richard, and do that. Because we are going ahead of time, so I want to go to Carl. Okay?
thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, Carl.
Thank you for making the time for for the question. I also just wanted to say of course you don't need to hear it from me, but this talk was just amazing from my perspective. I really appreciate you starting like linearly from just the very gross to also including like the non-dual um you know the where all of this is going, even though you stopped yourself from going into detail. I appreciate you mentioning it all, because the question does raise, where what is this all leading to, what is this work all for? So I have two parts to this question. The first is what stuck out to me the most in this talk was your comments on the ego, and you sort of validating my views on the ego, which is it's not something to be killed, it's not something to be eliminated. And I just want to make sure I understand that I heard or kind of understood the view or the method of the ego from a tantric point of view. Is it kind of seems like what the goal is to reshape your ego, remold your ego to this template of your yidam, or to some, whether you want to call it a yidam or just to some higher view or higher sense. It
Yeah.
kind of it feels as though that seems to be the goal. And the second part of my question is just purely out of curiosity. When you went to this more transcendental place of like Mahamudra and Dzogchen, I'm just curious if you could comment at all about how is the ego seen in those views? Is there more work to be done? Is the ego utilized, or is it at that point the ego is just one thing among the many that's just, animation within stillness kind of thing? Like, is ego a utility in that level of practice, or is ego just one thing that is just noticed and seen, if that makes sense?
So, okay, so I don't want to open up, the discussion about the ego. Ego was a term that was defined by Freud, before Freud, from the psychological point of view. The Buddha never talked about ego, okay? There was no ego definition in the Buddha's time. Since it was embedded so strongly in our Western life, we're talking about ego here when we talk about psychology, the Buddhist psychology. So what we call in psychology, not in Buddhist psychology, in the Western psychology, what we call ego is many behaviors or patterns that has been developed as an adaptation in order to defend what we call ourself. We call to this entity, we call me, we call I, we call ourself, right? So the ego most of the time working in many, many methods in order, unconsciously, of course, to protect me, to protect the I, to protect the self, okay? So when we talk about those patterns that we have developed throughout the years, either through culture or experiences that we had in life or people that affected us, relationship with people, it can be our parents or teachers or wherever. There is a very important role in the life of having an ego, a strong ego, a stable ego. When you go to mental health, when you meet people, what we know as people who work with those people, that they don't have ego. Their ego has been broken. I mean, people who are going into psychotic. So you see it so they don't have this stability self that can manifest, that can work in the world. They don't have that. I'm going, of course, to the extreme just to give you an example for that, okay? Because we are here, we are not in the hospitalized in the mental house, right? So there is a reason why we want to develop this ego. His Holiness always emphasized that. For example, if we want to develop compassion towards others, if our ego is so weak and not strong, we will not be able to look towards what we call others. I mean, in the Mahayana, I'm not talking about Dzogchen or the non-duality, okay? So you cannot go to be a non-dual practitioner, either Mahamudra or Dzogchen, if you have a very weak ego. For the non-dual, I'm answering now your next question. Because you will all the time, will be concentrated upon me, they did that to me, I'm feeling that. So, and you see people who are so absorbed, so self-centered, right? It's an example of a weak ego. Because when you have a strong ego, you can open up to others. You can open up to the non-duality. If you have, that's why I said, you want to develop the ego. The ego. It's not, you don't want to develop the narcissist ego that's always concentrated upon yourself, either weak or ill, like narcissists. Okay, narcissists have a very strong ego, but it's an ill ego. It's a it's non-healthy ego, because they do not care about others. I just gave you an example, from the Western psychology, but that's one of them. I hope I answered your question, and I don't really want to go too much in detail into the Mahamudra and Dzogchen understanding, because this is not the aim of this course. Maybe in the future, we'll see. Okay.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Wenzel, hi.
Hello,
Hi.
Adorita. When you were talking about the ego, this symbolism in the Vratful deities came up in me, and they are like stamping on the Rudras. And could you like differentiate or clarify the difference between a healthy ego and what they are stepping on? What is the Rudra that they are?
Yeah, so again, it's an interesting thing. Last time you also asked me about something that has to do with symbolism, so I can understand that symbolism is something that really trigger your curiosity. That's nice. So everything within the Tanka, or the way that the deity is being, it's not only painting, it's also introduced to us, okay? Because in the sadhana, for example, there is no painting, there is a discussion, right? There is some kind of explanation what is the deity. So everything there has a symbolic meaning. Like, for example, a deity that stands either on one dead body or rolla or whatever. I mean, there are different kind of, each one of them is a different symbol, because each one of those deities actually overcome something. For example, one of the deities that I'm working with, like Vajrayogini, is she's stepping on two symbols, right? Each one of her legs is stepping on, I mean, there are two kind of, many kinds of Vajrayogini. I'm talking this one with two legs on those creatures. So each one of them is representing something else. For example, she overcame the death, which means she knows how to, she doesn't need to die. That doesn't mean not going out from this body, but the mind doesn't die. And then she overcome those two poisons, like the hatred and the attraction, or okay? So those are symbols again, Vincent. So eventually we will go into more details about those symbols in specific deity, not now in this course, okay? But those are symbols, and it works unconsciously. When you see the Tanka, and when you're doing this, and you receive the teachings, and you see those symbols again and again and again, actually it's create your path. What do you want to become? And it works unconsciously. That's the strength of Tantra.
Thank you.
Okay, Kate, hi.
Hello, Lopundarit. I wonder if you could help clarify the boundaries between stability of body and stability of awareness of body, particularly when there is a tendency towards sickness in the body. It's related a little bit to Juliana's question in the chat as well, but I'm interested more in like what is it we are, if there is a tendency towards sickness in the body, how does that relate to what we've been discussing today?
When we have sickness in the body, we have different kind of sickness. Like, for example, sickness that has pain and sickness that doesn't have pain. Like you can, I mean, not you, but we can have cancer and there are no pains, no external symptoms, right? So when we have pain, we learn how to work with the pain. That's what we do. I mean, that's how we train. Part of the tantric practices is that. Now, when you learn how to, what is the right word for that? Create or develop the awareness for the subtle body doesn't have pain, okay? So when you go there, most of the time, and that's the evidence that practitioner, a very long time practitioner have, they don't, the pain, I wouldn't say disappear because this is not the right, their awareness created a situation that they're not aware to the pain. I mean, maybe if there is a measurement to measure the pain is still there. But since they just move their awareness to somewhere else, so they don't feel the pain. And I want to give you an example. Lamalina always gives that example with regard to a different question. She says she has an arthritis, I think this is the name of the sickness she has. So it's a joint pain and it's very painful, okay? For being so many years in the cave in humid environment, so it's developed. So she says that she has this, if you have the measurement, the pain measurement from 1 to 10, you remember that? So she said that sometimes she has an attack at level of 8. And then she needs to sit down. Otherwise, even if the level of 6 or 7, she continue her life because her awareness is not on the pain. So you learn how to do that, okay? You just learn how to do that. This is, but you want to know that you cannot, again, it's not ignore the pain and it's not suppress the pain and it's not, I don't know, it's, since your awareness is somewhere else, the pain is in the background. It doesn't bother you anymore, okay? And this is not only for the body. This is also for the disturbance emotions like anger, jealousy, or all those. Because when you put your awareness elsewhere, all of a sudden, the anger and the compassion cannot live together. Okay, attention on the subtle body and attention on the pain cannot live together. Okay. Okay. Friedrich. Hi, Friedrich. How are you? I haven't seen you
I'm good.
before.
And it's good to see you there in Sopema. I wish I could be there.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this from the other side of the world. Yeah, I'm completely on the other side in California. Quick question. You keep mentioning karma and the importance of karma in all of this. In fact, during the last meeting, you said that karma is your favorite topic. My question is, I'd like to have a more in-depth understanding of karma. Are you going to give a teaching on this, or can you refer me to some
I
text
will
or
give a
literature?
teaching on that, but don't wait for that. If you can have a good teacher that can teach you the Abhidhamma Kosha, chapter 5, how karma works. Go search how karma works, because this is the
Okay.
name of this chapter. Abhidhamma Kosha was is the scripture that was written by Vasubandhu, Master Vasubandhu in 350. And there is the most amazing explanation of how karma works. So this is a good source if you have a teacher that you can find that. The other subject that can teach you that is the Wheel of Knife. It's also explanation of karma. So if you have a teachings about that, Wheel of Life, that will be great. And the other one is the Diamond Cutter Sutra. Not the diamond, the heart, the Heart Sutra, the Diamond Cutter Sutra. Okay,
Right.
don't mix them up. Those three are the most amazing. So if you just Google and find a qualified teacher, okay, that really understand that, go ahead. I will do that in the future, but it will take a while because now I have on my plate many other things that Lamalina asked me to do. So I'll see how I go with that. Okay.
Okay. So you recommend actually turning to a teacher rather than only looking up text.
From my experience, you need a very qualified teacher to teach you karma. Karma is not self-explanatory.
Okay.
Not at all. Our mind reject what we read.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dorit.
Okay. So we conclude. So thank you guys. Next week we are not gonna meet. I'm gonna go to retreat. But I will start this weekend. Lamala arranged me a nice cave up there in the caves. I'm very lucky to do that. I hope that I will be able to do it in the cave. So we'll see how it goes. So you will have an announcement when we're going to meet again. Okay. But you do have homework. I hope you're going to do that, because this is very important. Your homework is not for me. I'm not a teacher that needs to see the homeworks. Okay. It's for you. You want to have this assessment and see what do you want to develop in each one of those criteria or those subjects. Okay. So let's just dedicate. Do you remember what we dedicated last week? We dedicated that all the hostages will come home and the suffering and the war everywhere, in every part of the world will stop. So we weren't able to stop all wars all over the world. But I don't know if you know, but yesterday, all 20 live hostages came back home. Not the dead bodies yet, those that died there, but we're looking forward also for those to come to that can be buried. And the war of Israel and Gaza hopefully has been stopped. I mean, an agreement, a ceasefire agreement has been signed. So we really hope that, well, maybe our class was doing that. Maybe the karma manifestation did that because we really wanted that. So I would like to dedicate this class. By the way, this is a manifestation of karma. That's how you create karma, a lot of dedication. So I would like to dedicate this class and this teaching that those amazing lineages brought us to the fact that all wars in the world will be stopped. And may every suffering in the world will be diminished. And may all living beings, all sentient beings, all kind of sentient beings will be happy. Ngewadi nyurdudam chechi salam gopa sho. You can add your own dedication. You don't need to go follow mine. You can take mine and also put your own, okay? All right, so good night. I'll see you after my retreat. Bye, guys.